Welcome to Cape Breton Movers and Shakers, where we have conversations with people who are doing positive things here in Cape Breton. I'm Richard Lorway, president of goCapeBreton.com, and today I'm talking with Michelle Milburn, president of Advanced Glazings in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Richard. How are you today?
I'm doing great, doing great. Good. So what is Advanced Glazings and what do you do?
Advanced Glazings manufactures translucent glazing units that allow natural light to penetrate deep into spaces and provides basically insane insulation value for a window. And people are, what does translucent mean? Well, basically you can't see through the window. You can see a shadow coming through the window, but it allows the light to penetrate deep into the space while providing a high insulation value. So we're not used in place of vision glass, we're used in concert with vision glass. So,
okay. So people can't see out, but on the other hand, it diffuses the light coming in, so there's no harsh glare.
Right. You get rid of all the hot spots. You know, I working on computers, you know, sitting in front of a window and you get the direct beam sunlight. It's painful. You know, people try and protect themselves and they put the blinds down. And I think NRC CAN study showed that I think 65 to 70% of blinds, once they're pulled down, stay down. So, right. You know, the whole point of having the window in the first place is right.
Becomes moot. Exactly.
Yeah.
So how did Advanced Glazing start?
Interesting story. Well, we've been around for approximately 25 years. Didn't get right into doing daylight initially. Doug and I started the company together, and as he had done graduate work at University of Waterloo, they were making this stuff called honeycomb transparent insulation in his lab while he was doing his graduate work. And he thought, wow, that's really cool. I think we could mass manufacture that, because it used to take up to, I think, a month to make a very small sample by hand, because there was no commercial way to do it. So he said, I think we can develop a machine to do that. And I think with the price of oil back then in the mid 80s, I think this could save a lot of money for greenhouses, because they're paying a fortune. They need natural light. They don't want condensation, and they're paying a fortune for oil. So we moved back to Cape Breton with a 6-week-old colicky child. And what we thought was an awesome business idea, and got to work trying to do the designs to make the machine that would make the honeycomb. And we got out and we started in greenhouse and we did studies, and it proved 65% energy savings over traditional greenhouses for double poly. And not only that, but the plants grew better. There was no, I don't know if you greenhouses, but there's like the drip, right? Because so there was the plant growth was much more uniform. There was no plant burn. So we kind of started there, and then we somehow got started, talking to some architects, and they're like, well, this would be really cool in buildings. So we're like, oh, so we kind of pivoted and went to the architecture market, and here we are.
Gotcha. So you referenced you and Doug, your husband, Doug Milburn. Yes. Where'd you guys meet?
We are both Mount Allison alumni. Oh. So we met at Mount Allison actually playing rugby.
Doug never struck me as a rugby player, but okay.
Yeah, he played for years. Yeah, so University of Waterloo.
Gotcha. And how many employees does Advanced Glazings have?
We have about 27 in Sydney, and then we have sales reps in strategic locations in the US. So we have about another 4, and then we have external representation too, who are not paid AGL employees, but they do work for us as well. So, we've got the strategic Northeast kind of taken care of. And then we've got some external reps out in LA, that kind of space. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So who are your customers then?
Interesting. So we actually, the people that determine, to decide to use Solera are business owners, obviously people who own the buildings, and the architects. So what we do is we go in and we kind of do a lunch and learn for them, because they need architectural credits every year. So daylighting is part of one of those credits. So we call them up. We have no problem getting in to do presentations. And what we do is we get our project considerations out of those lunch and learns. So while we kind of, sell, if you will, to the architects and the business owners, the end person who buys the product is a glazing contractor. So somebody who would install the glass.
Right.
So the architect will specify us, and then we have to hold the spec throughout the building process. And then at the end of the day, like a Cape Breton glass would be our customer, or Stott aluminum or something like that locally, right, who would purchase our material.
Gotcha. So, I
Yeah.
mean, the architects are known for being a pretty conservative bunch, shall we say? And so how do you, in terms of convincing them to, try an innovative new product, is that a real challenge?
You know what? Originally it was, when we kind of started out, because, it was new, and it was kind of totally different than some other stuff that was out there. But now I have to say that, we've been around long enough. We've done, so many marquee projects all over the world. And, to be honest, the innovative ones, the really, you say, oh, if you get into this really high-end firm and they do all these they're great, but stuff seems to take somewhat longer. If you just get in with the, people that are doing, the universities, the healthcare facilities, and, not those marquee sort of innovative things, which we
Right.
do go into those as well. But there's so much room out there, and now daylight has become, a real thing, because people are not, we were kind of sustainable before it was a thing. We were kind of ahead of our time in some respects in that way. And so, they get the value of a great interior, comfortable space for the building occupants. So, being sustainable is not just about, having, a tight building that's going to be energy efficient. It's also, there's there's LEED, there's all these other programs now that geared specifically to make sure that the occupants feel good in the space, which is what we do.
Right. So
Yeah.
if I'm a building owner, or I'm going to be a building owner, I'm building a building,
Yeah.
what are the key benefits? What's going to sell me? Is it about, I know it's probably a lot of things, but is there significant cost savings?
And it can't, yes, it can be over time, because we can do up to an R18 insulation value. So that's similar to a wall, so they can add natural light. So, studies have shown that students do better with natural daylight. They perform better on their test scores. Employees perform better. There's the productivity is better. And just the overall, there's also been studies that there's less sick time and everything, because people, have natural light, and they're, not under harsh lighting that we all find ourselves in a lot of the time.
Or vitamin D, presumably, as well.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And for every business owner, it's kind of different, but I think, a lot of business owners are just, they're obviously interested in the bottom line, but they're also interested in, employee turnover costs so much money. So, keeping the employees happy and comfortable and a good feeling of well-being is really important too.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So these windows are not small. You manufacture essentially large products, sorry, on Cape Breton Island. So how do you get your glass to the market?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. Everything goes by truck, or by container. We've done projects in Russia via Turkey. We've done projects in Kuwait. We've done projects in the Netherlands, England. So we've kind of just, we just the trucks come in, they pick up the material, and they get shipped out. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, most of the customers don't know where we're located, and they don't care. They just
Right.
want the product and us to get it to them when it's supposed to be on the job site. And as long as we do that and our product performs as it's supposed to, then we're off to the races. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So are there, I know proximity in market is sometimes, perceived as a barrier to manufacturers, but are there benefits to being a manufacturer in Cape Breton Island?
You know what? I think, we have some US suppliers, we have some Canadian suppliers. Having our head office is here for us is great because we want to be in Cape Breton for obvious reasons. We love the culture, we love the location, the ski hill,
Yeah.
everything that, people who want to be here. Some of this stuff, if we're shipping out to California or stuff, it can take a little longer. But when we're working with the architects and the glazing contractors, we just, we work with them from as soon as they think they might want to use us until when it actually ships out, so that the expectations are, and depending on when it ships, it can be someplace in 2 days in the States, or
Right.
out in California might be a week, right? So just
That's in terms of a big project. That's not a big,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
I mean, people are used to delay. My son's in the construction industry. I know the kinds of delays in
yeah,
cladding.
yeah. And there, with the current environment, things are taking a little longer.
Yeah.
But we haven't had any really issues to date so far. So which is good.
Good.
Yes.
So you reference, some of your projects overseas. Like, do you have some bigger projects you can talk about that could illustrate kind of what you do?
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we did a large job in Kuwait. So I think that was 11 different like 11 different containers going over. The idea with that is the building is really cool. There was like two sections of the university, and they had a huge skylight kind of joining both sides. So they
Right.
wanted natural light coming through the middle. Now, of course, they've got different problems than we do here. They got too much heat, too much
Yeah, the opposite problem. Yeah.
light, right? So our job, or Solera's job at that point, was to, do the modeling, do the daylight modeling, and figure out what the best light would be for that space, which is what we did. We worked with the architect C7A in Boston, specified us for that project, and got all the daylight modeling right, and worked with them on glass types and different south facing, depending on where they wanted certain things, and at the end result, the project was spectacular. It's a huge roof skylight that runs the whole length of the building. So we've done that one. We've also done Smithsonian Institute,
Oh.
the dinosaur section, I guess,
Nice.
which is kind of cool. And we've done some condos in New York on the High Line Trail, I think it's called.
Yeah.
They wanted, actually, interesting story, because they wanted to, I forget, the apartments were tiny, and they obviously cost a lot of money in New York City. So what they wanted to do was bring in natural light to make the space look bigger. So what they did is they had like the big, I don't know if they call it this now, but picture, the big picture window. What they did is they put Solera around the whole outside space and the bathrooms and everything. So even when they had the blinds drawn, the light, would come in and just create a better space, a more naturally daylit space, and a feeling that the space was bigger than it was. So, that's a thing too. So.
Wow. So from small apartments to, I heard, and maybe we talked about this one point, that the Kuwait project was equivalent of it was like as if the Empire State Building was lying on its side.
That was the size of that job. So it was a really large job. We learned a lot. That was the first time we'd shipped there. First time, with a lot of stuff going through that one, but it was really cool. And at the end of the day, the project, and we're involved in some other jobs over there now that were specified in. So yeah, we've done sports facilities, Sacramento Kings practice facility, and our own Port Hawkesbury Civic Center, which is coming up on its 17th anniversary. Bob Ojalik worked on that one, and that was new. He had done a lot of things to sustainable stuff on that building, and that facility, the rink, which to have a lot of natural light in a rink is kind of an oxymoron. People like a rink, light, problems, hotspots, ice. But anyway, that facility is fantastic, and they can actually operate in the rink side without the lights during the day. So
Gotcha.
Spectacular application there as well.
Well, that leads to my next question, really. I mean, apart from Port Hawkesbury, so if somebody locally wanted to see Advanced Glazings products in action, where would they go?
A lot of the schools, we do a lot of schools in Nova Scotia. So, you could go to Brookland Elementary, you could do Sydney Academy. They got rid of all the old glass block a number of years ago and put our stuff in on the
Right.
sort of an under over application. Actually, Protocase and 45 Drives, Protocase Building 2, and I think the 45 Drives building that recently opened actually used a new product variant for us called Solera Wall, which is basically, a wall of glass and removes a lot of the framing traditionally associated in construction. So saves lots of time and construction costs. And you have a beautiful wall of glass and natural light. So that space, I would highly encourage anyone, is spectacular. Really
Right. So what I'm hearing with Solera Wall, you're saying that the structural integrity is built into the product?
Right, they go from the structural members instead of having to build, with their traditional structure. They have all the framing and curtain wall and all that
Yeah.
stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. You just bolt on. And in particular, the 45 Drives building is like a insulated metal panel. So they just kind of, drop in and we just attach to that and straight up. So yeah, we're working with a number of the insulated metal panel companies here in Canada and the US, getting that out further afield. So
Nice.
that's really exciting too. Saves them a lot of money and creates a beautiful outside exterior. They glow at night if the lights are on, and also a beautiful interior space for the employees, and saves on time to get the building up. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
So last question, if you're looking forward 5 years, where do you see Advanced Glazings?
Expansion. We sort of, with the current environment where everyone has had to do everything with Zoom, has been a wonderful pivot for us in some ways, because we have, where we used to go in and do the lunch and learns physically, now we do them all through Zoom. We last week added 35 new projects to our, list of stuff for, so it's been a real, we can get to a lot more different places this way. We can cover a lot more territory this way. We've learned how to engage better on that platform so that we get projects. It's one thing to just go in and do the presentations. Oh, great, maybe they'll call us. Well, our whole thing is, we go in, we engage, we help them. It's, our partner. Our job is to make them successful with a great product and create a great building. So, we're really doing well these last number of months. And so for us, we have some production time available. So we're hoping to fill it up and do more.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks so much for your time today.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. I've been speaking with Michelle Milburn, president of Advanced Glazings in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and we'll see you next time on Cape Breton Movers and Shakers.